All right, so we have a multi-camera interview here. We recorded with multiple cameras, but so far in the editing process, at least right now when we edited everything down, we've only been looking at one camera angle. In this video, I'm going to show you how to see your other camera angles and then how to switch from one camera angle to the next. The way to do that is one of the viewing modes that we need to activate here. So in this top right window, the program panel, there are a bunch of options down here, like this one to play your video and a few other ones that you don't need to know right now. But there's another tool that's not included here by default that we need to add. To add it, click on this little plus sign right here. It's called the button editor. And we're going to look among all these different options. These are all different kinds of buttons that you can include. We want to find this one right here. It looks kind of like a hopscotch board. It says toggle multi-camera view. What I want to do is click and drag this into my blue highlighted panel here. Click OK. Now this will be one of the options that I can use. If I click on this, something cool happens. On the left, what I see is all of my camera angles that are available to me. Maybe you might only have 2. This group had 3. And then on the right is a preview of what the final video will look like. Right now, every clip in this video has just this camera angle 1, camera A, as the one that's selected. But if I want to change the camera angle, I can do that. For example, on this clip right here, the one that I've got highlighted, I'll move my playhead over it. And if I want this to be the second camera angle instead of the first one, if I want to be camera B instead, all I need to do is click there, and now this one is camera B. So if I move my playhead to some place like before the second one starts, so right about here, and hit play,
religion probably.
Then I see this second clip come in, and sorry, I lost my sound. Let's try that again.
Religion probably. I think the biggest contrast between 2020 and 2020.
But you can see how the camera switched there. Now, you can use camera switching in a lot of really clever ways. What I don't want you to do is just have your 6 or 7 clips and then just camera switch for each one, because the thing is that's just way too long. Viewers are used to, when they're watching video, viewers are used to one clip or one angle. Really, they're used to seeing that for only about 6 seconds or less. We have short attention spans. So each of these clips is several seconds long. And what I want to try to do is switch camera angles, at least a couple times in each of these clips at strategic places so that this is a little bit more engaging. So we're not just looking at one camera angle for 30 seconds and another one for a whole minute. So I'm going to actually show you how I would do this. I'm going to zoom in on this first section right here. I'm going to talk about how I would split this up using multi-camera interview techniques, using this multi-camera technique. I'm just going to go ahead and start playing it and show you what I would do.
What I have found is a sort of religion in theater. When I walk into a theater, it's a peaceful feeling.
So this is my opening clip, and I think it's a good quote from her, but there's one issue here. She has this very long pause and then an Let's hear that.
When I walk into a theater.
Now, not every is bad. I mean, I don't want you to go through and delete every time someone says or something like that, because it would just get tedious and ridiculous. But in this case, because it's so early, because it comes so early in my video and I really want to capture my viewer's attention, I want to remove this So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to move my playhead over to this empty space. You can tell that there's nothing here because there's no audio things there. I'm going to use my cut tool, and I'm going to find the end of this and then use my cut tool again. Then I will use my selection tool to select this little part here and delete it. Now, if I don't do anything else and I just play this, here's what will happen.
In theater. When I walk into,
I just get this black space. What that's called is dropped frames. I don't want that black space. I want to continuously see the video footage. So to move everything closer together, I'm going to click in this empty space here so it's highlighted. Just click right there. Right click, and there's only one option I'll see. It's called Ripple Delete. If I do that, it's going to move everything closer together. Okay, let's take a look. It's going to be better because I don't have that but there's still going to be a problem. And tell me if you can spot the problem.
Is a sort of religion in theater. When I walk into a theater.
So what I've done is I've moved forward in time, but I didn't switch camera angles. And what that's called is a jump cut. And we want to try to avoid jump cuts whenever we can. And because the audience notices that you've made an edit there, the audience knows that you've cut some stuff out. We want this to be seamless so the audience doesn't even know that we cut anything out. The way I can do that is using my multi-camera editing techniques. So for this camera angle, for this clip, I'll use this camera angle A. But for this clip, I'm going to switch to camera angle B. And now let's watch it.
In theater, when I walk into a theater,
I'm going to watch that again.
is a sort of religion in theater. When I walk into a theater,
so if the viewer didn't see us edit this, they would never know that we had cut out an there. They would never know that we cut anything out because we switched camera angles. They would never know that we moved forward in time by cutting things out because we switched camera angles. It's a really smart technique for cutting out long pauses or awkward things that you want to cut out without the viewer knowing that you cut any of that out. But again, I want to make sure that you know you do not need to cut out every single and or whatever. What I do want you to do, though, is that whenever you have two separate clips like this, make sure one is at one camera angle and the other one is at the other camera angle. I don't want to see any jump cuts where you have a cut here, but it's the same camera angle. That's one thing that we want to try to avoid. Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit more. I'm just going to focus again on this first section here. And I'm going to find other places where I want to do some camera switching. Let's see.
I walk into a theater, it's a peaceful feeling.
So maybe right about here, it's been a few seconds. I think it's time for us to switch camera angles. So I'll make a cut right here. I'll go back to my selection tool, select this part, and let's try camera angle C. Let's just see how that looks.
That comes over me. When I read script, it's peace.
Right here where she says peace. I feel like this is a really powerful line, so I want to switch back to this close-up.
Peace. When I work with a fellow actor, it's like my soul is alive and speaking. And
then right here, maybe I want to cut out, there's a lot of empty space here. I don't know, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and make a cut here, switch to camera angle A.
And sparking.
Actually, I really like that hand gesture. So maybe for this part, instead of doing camera angle, I'll do camera angle C.
And sparking.
And then for this, again, I will just let this go a little bit longer and then switch to camera angle A. And maybe even after she says sparking, there's nothing happening here. So maybe I'll just delete that little bit of space, do a ripple delete, and see the end of that.
So I guess that's my religion, probably.
Let's just see. So we've got that first section. Let's just see how that looks.
What I have found is a sort of religion in theater. When I walk into a theater, it's a peaceful feeling that comes over me. When I read script, it's peace. When I work with a fellow actor, it's like my soul is alive and speaking and sparking. So I guess that's my religion.
The only thing I think about this is, when I did this, I feel like this clip right here where she says, and sparking, is just a little bit too short. It's kind of awkwardly short. It's only like 1 second long of that. We don't want these clips to be too short. We want them to be, aim for like 5 to 6 seconds or longer per clip. So what I want to do is I want to make this one a little bit longer. I want to pretend that I didn't make the cut here. I wish that I had made the cut like around here so that this clip was longer. Let me show you a way to do that. So one of these tools, there are a bunch of tools here. We've used the selection tool, we've used the cut tool. I want to show you this tool here. It's called the Ripple Edit tool, but actually the one we want to use is one that you get when you hold down on this. It's this one called the Rolling Edit tool. If I choose this tool, then I can move my mouse in between these two clips right here and move it this way. What I'm going to do is I've made this one longer and this one a little bit shorter. So now I can see what that looks like.
It's like my soul is alive and speaking and sparking. So I guess that's my religion, probably.
Something like that is going to be fine. So what I'll have you do is do that for each of your sections here. Do that for each of your quotes here. Again, what we're kind of shooting for, viewers are used to seeing each camera angle for around 6 seconds. It doesn't have to be exactly precise, but we are kind of taking advantage of our ability to switch camera angles. So switch camera angles, if you need to make some micro adjustments, you can use that rolling edit tool to move things around. But that's how you're going to do your camera switching for this. And in the end, you're going to have a more concise and maybe even slightly shorter video because you might have cut out some extraneous uhs and ums and things like that. Don't go too crazy with this, and don't try to cut out every single or or pause or whatever. But make sure that you're avoiding jump cuts, and make sure that the each clip plays for long enough that it's not too short and feels like it's getting cut off. Okay, once you've done this, once you've done your camera switching editing, it's time to add some music. It's a good idea to add some background music to this. Now, I've given you some sample music. It's in the folder where you found your footage. If you go to our Blackboard page and our shared files, you will find that music in the shared files folder right there with all the other files. But I want to show you another place where you can find music if you want to. The thing is that you can't just use any song that you want. If you use a song that is copyrighted, that is any song that's on your Spotify probably, and you use it without permission, that's illegal. It's called copyright infringement. And we can't use them, even though it's not for profit, even though we're not making any money off of this. You can't use those if you're going to publish the video. We are going to publish these videos, so we can't use those songs. We need to find a royalty-free music track. We can do that with a website called Freesound, freesound.org. This is a free website. All of the sounds here are free. You do have to create an account. You can just use whatever email address you want to create an account. After that, it's totally free. Best way to search for sounds is up here in the search bar. You can search for a genre, let's say hip hop. And then go to advanced search options, because a lot of these things that show up are going to be 1 to 5 second long, just like effects and stuff like that. If you click on advanced search options, you can make sure that each of them is at least 1 minute long, and at least, I don't know, just you can say at least 1 minute long, and then choose search. That will give you some longer options. I guess 60 seconds is what I have to punch in. That'll give you some longer options, and then you can preview them to see how they sound. And then once you've previewed them, you can, if it sounds like something you want to use, you can just download it. When you download it, make sure to download it into your 5-folder setup, into your audio folder is where it should go. And I've already got my sample audio in there as well. So make sure to put it in that audio folder. And then if you want to have that music, some unique music, you can then add it to your audio folder in your Premiere project and have some different songs than the ones that I gave you in the sample music. Let's go ahead and add a song though. I'm going to add this Dr. Dream Chip one here. Before I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it in track 3. It's underneath these other ones here. And I'm going to make this track 3 a little bit bigger here. And then I will drop this in here. Now, you probably noticed that this music track is not as long as my whole interview. The music track's only about 1 minute and 15 seconds long. I'm going to have to do a couple things here. I'm going to have to duplicate it to make this work. And also, you're probably going to notice if you play it, the music is way louder than the person speaking. Now, I've shown you before how to change the volume using effect controls. I want to show you a different way, though, in case you don't want to use effect controls. You can use effect controls to change the volume on this, but another way to do it is once you've added your audio into this track, again, go ahead and expand this track just by clicking and dragging here so you can see it. And when you zoom in, you're going to notice there's this horizontal line right here. Actually, as you're zooming, you can see that line there. This line is actually the volume. And if I click on it, and move it up or down, I can change the volume of this whole track. I do want to move it down quite a bit. Let's see.
When I work with a fellow actor.
Okay, so rule of thumb, every beginner makes this mistake. Rookie mistake in video production is they always make the background music too loud. Rule of thumb, the music should be about half as loud as you think it needs to be. The music is not there for us to vibe to and, really be into the melody or the beat or whatever like that. It's really just there to fill in empty space. That's really all it's there for. And so it should be loud enough that you kind of hear it. It's kind of filling the space, but this isn't about the music though. This video is not about the music. It's just filling some space. So maybe like this.
Feeling that comes over me when I read script.
And I'm going to make it even quieter than that.
When I work with a fellow actor.
It really isn't a huge important thing. Okay, thing is my audio track is it's too short. It doesn't fill the entire space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it again somewhere so it's kind of overlapping here a little bit. I'm going to turn down that volume so it's as quiet as the other one was. And then I'm going to add an effect. I'm going to go to Effects and find the Crossfade effect. Doesn't matter which one of these you pick. I'm just going to choose Constant Power and drag it onto the area kind of between these two. And then it will kind of crossfade between one and the other.
This pandemic. I'm a woman playwright myself, and
the music is so quiet that like we're really not even going to notice that it's faded out and faded in a new track because it's just, it's so quiet. And then last, I'm going to add one more here, just kind of have it overlap over the edge a little bit. Again, add that effect in the space where they kind of overlap, and make sure to turn it down.
Is this emergence of
and that should be good enough there. So I've got my background music now, and that's all set. Once you've added your background music, you can just leave that there. Next thing I want to show you is an optional thing that you can do if you want to. This is something you can do if you want to level up. It's to add a graphic that you didn't make, but you're going to grab from a website called Canva. Let me show you where that is. So if you go to a website called canva.com, you can create a free account using your Grandview email address. You shouldn't have to pay for this. It's just a free website, but it allows you to find different kind of like intro slides and things like that. Let me show you the kind of thing that we're going to add. I've got it in a different folder here. So what we're going to add is a graphic kind of like this. It's just a video graphic that looks something like this. And we're going to add this toward the beginning of our video. I found this on Canva, just entered in the text, and then was able to add it to the beginning of my video. Let me show you how to find this sort of thing in Canva. So in Canva, you can actually just go into video and just search in video here or YouTube video. I'm just going to go into video here. And it's going to show me a bunch of different options. The ones that say free are the ones you want to use. So I'm going to try to find a good free option. This is the one that I found. Clicked on it here. This is a video, and then when I want to mess with it, I can just put in a title up here, like 2020 versus 2021 was the title of this video. If you want to, you can put in viewfinder interviews or something like that. But you can type in whatever text you want and then type in a title for this video, whatever you want to do. Once you have that set the way you want to have it set, just click on this download icon here and it will start to download it. And then the place that you should download it is in your graphics folder. In your 5-folder setup, you want to have that in your graphics folder here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got this graphic I added. It's just a video graphic here. I'm going to go ahead and drop this whole folder into my project panel right here. So I'll have an audio folder, a sequences folder, a media folder, and now a graphics folder. Drop that in here, and there it is. What I want to do is I want to add this not at the very beginning of the video, but kind of like right after this first quote here. Right after my first high impact quote is where I want to add what is essentially that title slide here. So I think that happens right about here.
And sparking. So I guess that's my religion probably.
So that's where I want to add that video graphic. What I need to do then is I need to take all these other video clips that happened after that. I just need to highlight them all, move them over to the side a little bit, and then grab my graphic that I just made and just drag it in here. Right there is fine. then I can see how it looks. So right after she says her thing, we see this graphic. I'm going to just like trim it a little bit. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to just go ahead and trim this graphic a little bit. And then to move all this stuff back over to next to the graphic, I can just click in this empty space, choose ripple delete. No, I guess I can't do that for some reason. And then I'm just going to highlight all these other clips here again and just move them next to that graphic there. And now I've got, she says her opening thing,
probably.
And then I have this opening slide here. One more thing that I want to do. When I go into this opening slide here, there's no longer a person talking, and it can feel like a little bit of an awkward transition because the music is so soft. What I'm going to do right here is actually turn up the music just while I'm looking at this graphic here. To do that, I'm going to use one more tool. It's right here in this middle panel. It's called the pen tool. In order for this to work, I have to make sure that my music is expanded. So the track isn't teeny tiny like this. It's got to be tall like this so I can see my volume level here. Then I'll use my pen tool, and I'm going to just click on a point on this line anywhere here. I can click once there, and I want to click somewhere around the time right before this graphic shows up. So I've clicked right about there. Then I'm going to click once more right next to that, and then I can actually move this up a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm actually turning up the level of the music. That's what I want it to do. I want the music to just start to turn up a little bit right as the graphic comes in.
Religion, probably.
And then right about here, right before that graphic is about to go away, I want this to start turning down. So I'm going to use my pen tool, click right there, use my pen tool once more, click and drag this down to turn that music back down to where it was before, and we'll fading out. Let's take a look at how that sounds.
So I think the biggest contrast between...
So what I've done basically is I've just turned up the music for a little bit and then turned it back down when we come back to hearing her speak. Okay, we've added some music. We've done a few other important things here. Another thing that I want to do here is I want to go ahead and fade out my music. So at the very end, the music actually, the track kind of just ends on its own. But to fade this out, I want to make sure that my music track, if it's longer than my video track, I want to make sure I cut it so it's not any longer. And I also want to add that crossfade effect just to the very end so that that fades out. And then there's one more graphic thing that I want to do. I want to add an identifying graphic. As you notice in all of my clips that I chose here, nowhere did I actually have her saying her name. You might have recorded your person saying their name, and this group did record this person saying her name, but it wasn't a high impact quote, so I didn't include it in my final transcript. However, it is going to be important for people to know this person's name in this video, so I'm going to go out of multi-camera view here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a graphic that's showing her name. What I'm going to do to find that graphic is I'm going to go up here to Window. I'm going to choose this one here where it says Essential Graphics. This has got a bunch of different kinds of graphics I can use. Some of them are for captions. Some of them are for different kinds of titles, things like that. I want to find a one that's going to work really well. The one that works well is bold image caption. It's this one right here. This is what I'm going to use for this video. You can use a different one if you want to. And I can just click and drag this into the project. And then when I'm done with this essential graphics, I can click on this little hamburger menu, close that panel. So what this does is this is going to make a graphic. It's going to show up right here, right in the middle of the screen, right when she starts talking. I want this to show up basically as soon as this graphic is done, as soon as we're getting back to the interview, kind of, a little bit into the interview here.
Biggest contrast between...
Now, first of all, obviously the text is weird, right? It says image caption here. Go ahead and click on your graphic that you've made. Find the text tool here. And then to highlight all this text, just click 3 times, like triple click. And then you can type in her name. This person's name, I'm just going to put in interview subject. Okay, put in their name, and now that's done. Now it's in the middle of the screen, but I don't want it to be right in the middle because it's kind of hard to see. So to move it, use your selection tool, and then I can just move this over here. I want to move this into the direction that they're looking. She's looking this way, so I want my text to be right there. Now it shows up like this.
So I think the biggest contrast between 2020 and 2021 is, to me anyway.
And that should be good. So that's how to add your identifying graphic. Definitely need to make sure that we have that. If you're doing a multi-subject interview, like if you've got two people talking to each other and you've got both of them on camera, make sure you have an ID graphic for both of those people. Okay, we've done a lot here, and I think we've really polished the video really well. Once you have that, once you have your music, this graphic here, this title is optional. If you want to do it, you can, but you do need to have the identifying graphic here, the identifier. Once you have all that, you've made your cuts using the multi-camera tools, then the video's done. Then that's pretty much everything is polished up, and it's time to export the video. That's what the next video is going to cover.